The big question on the table is, can you run your appraisal office on an AI agent? I would say the answer to that is not yet. Okay. It's coming.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
By the time this episode airs, this will be a little bit old news. That's the crazy thing about anytime I talk about AI, folks, literally within days, right? Sometimes hours, things are completely outdated. It really happens that quickly. It's so bizarre. I want to tell you about something that, as of this recording, is literally hours old. Okay. Now, by the time that you see this, it will be weeks old, just because that's the way podcasting is. I record, we got to edit, we got to put it in the line. I've got several of these episodes already recorded that are like kind of trickling out. By the time this airs, I will be, very deep into this. But let me tell you about an absolute amazing thing that has happened in the AI world. Okay. And it's really what everybody has hoped would happen since the introduction of ChatGPT. ChatGPT came on the scene in November of 2022, and it was pretty amazing. I remember sitting on a beach in Hawaii with my wife, and ChatGPT was like a week old, maybe 2 weeks old at that point. Okay. So we were there in December of 2022, and I was showing her what this thing was. And she, like me, didn't get it at first. I'm like, what is this? Like, this seems like a really weird Google that doesn't really work all that well, right? But at that point, I'd already played around with it enough that I showed her some pretty cool things. And she was like, wow, this is different. This is cool. Like, this is kind of amazing, right? And she and I have been, neck deep in AI ever since. But it wasn't until 2026, right? Specifically January of 2026, which is, by the way, today, right? I'm recording this in January 2026, that the next evolution of AI is on the scene. And what I'm talking about, right, is not a chat bot like an LLM, like, well, ChatGPT, right? Like Gemini, like Claude, like Perplexity. This is a worker, right? Now, the name of it is Moltbot. Let me spell that for you. It's a little bit strange, right? They started out with a different name and it sounded too much like another LLM, and there was a fight behind the scenes, and they ended up on the name Moltbot, Moltbot, right? You've probably at this point heard of it. It is a, lobster. You've probably seen the lobster icon, right? Thus the molting, right? I don't know. Weird. I don't name these things, okay? But here's the difference. ChatGPT is a website that you visit and ask questions, right? You can prompt it. It can do some pretty cool things. Moltbot is a service that lives on your computer, and it has hands, right? It's a 24/7 presence. It doesn't sleep. It monitors your email, your MLS, if you want, your files while you're out in the field doing inspections, right? This is a local and secure thing. In fact, people that are setting it up, myself included, don't set it up on your main computer. There's a security risk in doing that. This thing has very few guardrails. Now, some are screaming and yelling and saying, security risk, security risk. There is a security risk, right? So I'm not going to put my bank information there, right? I'm not going to put my typical websites that I'm going to go to that have, my Bitcoin on it, for example, right? I'm not going to do stupid things. I'm going to give it very clear instructions on what it can access, what it can't. And I'm not going to put anything in its way that it can access on its own, because it will. This is what is interesting about Moltbot that is very different than other AIs that you've used in the past. Okay. So let me just start with the basics. What it is, First of all, the hardware. Okay. You don't need a supercomputer, but you do need a computer. Okay. You can use an old PC. This is what I'm using. One of my old servers that I decommissioned a couple of months ago. I've recommissioned, if you will, resurrected from the dead. And this is where I'm putting my Moltbot. Most people are using the Mac Mini, right? Which, by the way, as of today, I literally looked online a few minutes ago. The Mac Mini is for sale on Amazon. It may not be at the point that you get this recording, but right now is at $499. Okay, $499 for a Mac Mini. By the way, the reason people are using Mac Minis for a couple of reasons. Number one, they are super powerful, super small, use very little energy. Right, it's like running an LED light bulb. Okay, almost nothing to run. And the other thing is the way this thing works. Moltbot works by texting it, by communicating with it, like WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal. And if you're using a Mac Mini, you can use iMessage, right? So if you've got an iPhone, like I do, you can literally send it an iMessage, right? And talk to it that way. Okay. Here's the deal. You connect this thing, right? So you get the computer, you put Moltbot on it, by the way, which is free and open source, which I love. Okay. Now, I want to be clear. It's not free to run because you have to connect it to some types of services, right? Most people are collecting or connecting it to Claude Code, which I've done. You can connect it to your Gemini, your ChatGPT, right? You want it connected to probably several LLMs, right? And then you give it skills. These are specific permissions to read your email, to look at your calendar, to browse the MLS. Okay. Now be careful with that. Make sure that you're in compliance with your board. Okay. By the way, a lot of boards, by the way, these realtor boards are really going to have to rethink their access, right? And what we pay for board dues and access and what that means, because the world is changing, folks. It just is. Okay. So be careful there. Make sure you're doing everything on the up and up, legal, ethical, moral, whatever, right? But once you give those things permission, you, as I mentioned earlier, communicate with this thing like you would an assistant. And that's really how I want you to look at this. Okay. The best description that I have found for Moltbot is it is like a virtual assistant. That's the way that you should treat it. So, for example, you're going to onboard this thing by telling it about you, by telling it about your business, by interviewing it and having it interview me. I'll tell you how I did it. When I jumped on board, it already had some beginner questions like, "Hey, what should I call you? And what do you want to call me?" And I named my Moltbot, and it knows my name, right? And instead of me going in and just brain dumping, okay, what I did first was I took everything from ChatGPT and Gemini, all of my history, right? And I just went into the LLMs and said, "Hey, I'm setting up Moltbot and I want it to know about me. So everything that you know about me, I want you to dump it here." Went over to the other LLM, did the same thing. Copied, pasted, put that into my Moltbot, okay? Said, "Hey, here's what other LLMs that I've been using for years know about me. Now, I want you to interview me. What do you want to know about me that you don't already know?" And we spent, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes going through an interview process. Literally, the computer is interviewing me, asking about me, right? Getting better information, right? One of the questions that I remembered asking is, "Okay, so you have a hobby farm in Montana, but is it true you don't live on the farm?" Right? Because that was unclear in the information that I give it. And all of that information is going to be helpful for the Moltbot to understand what it is that I need. Okay. And then I can reactively or put things in that it can react to. Okay. So you can simply ask it to do things. "Hey, call it multi," right? Mine's not named multi, but call it multi. Okay. "Multi, pull the plat map." By the way, you want to know what mine is named? I don't know if I want to tell you. Okay. Mine's named Whopper. WOPR. Shout out to War Games, the 1980 some odd movie. Okay. Those of you who've seen it, Matthew Broderick, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So mine's named Whopper. So Whopper, pull the plat map and tax record for 123 any street. Right? Folks, it can go to the county website. It can download the PDF. It can put it in my current orders folder, right? It can do all of that. "Hey, Whopper, I want you to add this new appraisal assignment, okay, into mymonday.com. It can do it, folks, right? Could it pull comps? Maybe. I'm not going to go there, okay? I don't want all the comments, whatever. I'm not using it for that. All right, just to be clear. Okay. Hey, Whopper, I want you to draft a response to this AMC's revision request. Right. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, you can do all of this with an LLM, Dustin. Like, what's the difference here? Right. The difference is this is agentic. And after the break, I'm going to tell you something I think will blow your mind. Stay tuned. First, want to pause and remind you of a great company out there called, well, TrueTracks. It's through True Footage, and True Footage is a tech company helping appraisers with tools that will help you to be a better appraiser, that will help you to be more efficient, more effective at what you do. You can find out more by going to their website. Okay, their website is truefootage.tech/tools, truefootage.tech/tools. And by the way, at checkout, if you will use the coupon code AppraiserCoach, that's one word, but capital A, capital C, no space, AppraiserCoach, and get not just the 2 weeks that they give to everybody for free, but add an additional 4 weeks, right? You're looking at 6 full weeks to try this thing out and be addicted, and you will be, with TrueTracks. One more time, truefootage.tech/tools. Working RE Magazine. Working RE has been they've been a sponsor here for many, many years. I want to say almost a decade that they've been sponsoring the Appraiser Coach podcast. And folks, here's the cool thing about this company. They get it when it comes to appraisers. They get it when it comes to your businesses. They get it when it comes to your career, your industry, call it whatever you want. They get it. I love the fact that I can go to one spot and find out what's going on, what's moving and shaking in the appraisal world. And I can do that with the great magazine, Working RE. Find out more by going to their website at workingre.com. Again, it's workingre.com. All right, folks, we are talking about a revolution in AI, right? ChatGPT was awesome. It was life-changing, world-changing. This next iteration, and by the way, Moltbot is not the only one out there, okay? It was the big one that came out and everybody jumped on board, and it was open source and it was amazing and it was mind-blowing, folks. Here's the thing, that it's one thing to ask it, but you literally can communicate with it. I have on my phone, okay, on Signal is what I'm using. I have a channel and it's named Whopper, WOPR, okay? It's named Whopper because that's the name of my Moltbot, and I can literally talk to it like a human being because it acts like a human being. I can ask it to do stuff and it can do it. People say that anything you can do on a computer, Moltbot can do. Okay, let me repeat that. Anything you can do on a computer. So it can't go get your dry cleaning yet, right? Because that's something physical, right? It can't go mow your lawn, right? There's other computers and robots to do that, by the way. But what it can do is anything that's on your screen in front of you, anything that you do, okay, Moltbot can do for you. Not only that, right? It can be proactive for you, okay? Literally, it can wake up in the morning and say, hey, I just thought I'd remind you, you have 3 inspections today. By the way, I've already downloaded the property cards and mapped your route to avoid the construction on I-95. It literally will do this kind of thing, okay? It can do things for you without it being asked. People are reporting that they wake up in the morning, they say, hey, I was bored. This is Moltbot talking. I was bored overnight, so I built you a new website. Here it is. Now, you can choose to use it or not, right? You weren't out any time. You weren't out any money. It just did it. Well, maybe a little bit for the tokens, right? But the more it learns about you, the better helper it can be. It is an absolute amazing thing, folks. Now, the question, and this is a big question, okay? The big question on the table is, can you run your appraisal office on an AI agent? I would say the answer to that is not yet, okay? It's coming. We're all fired, folks. You've heard me say that before. I'll keep saying it. We're all fired. It's just a matter of how quickly, right? But I will say this, that more and more I'm believing that somebody can run a one-man or one-woman appraisal office and be very successful at it, right? That is coming. The idea of having workers, employees, VAs, right? Sorry, folks. We need to be looking for other things to do because this is coming and it's cheap. It's $20 a month, right? Why would you pay what you're paying now for employees when this can happen? Now, we're not there yet. Don't fire your staff yet, folks. I will stay with you. I'll guide you through this, right? It is my passion in life to learn about AI and bring it to appraisers, right? I will continue to do that. We're not there yet, but I have been blown away by this technology. You should be as well. Check it out, right? It's Moltbot, Moltbot. And by the way, if I can help you to set up your Moltbot, right, I would be honored to do that, right? If you want me to help you set that up and to give you some idea on how to use it and actually start to replace what would otherwise be your job or other jobs in your office, I've helped others with that. I will continue to do that as your coach. Reach out to me, the coach at TheAppraiserCoach.com. Go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit TheAppraiserCoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.